Hello and welcome to Cooking with Dad. Pork egg rolls. Alright, I know you're probably thinking, egg rolls? Dad, does he even know how to make egg rolls? Well, yeah, duh. Of course I know. I know everything. No, just kidding. But egg rolls were probably my first introduction to Chinese food. And boy, I fell in love quick. Here's a list of ingredients. I call this leftover edition because this happens to be some of the stuff I have in the fridge right now. But leftovers can be anything. I mean, it's called leftover edition because whatever you have on hand, as long as you've got some meat and some cabbage, you can make some quality egg rolls. Anyway, let's get started. Well, as I said, I got a half a head of cabbage. And here's what I'm calling leftover pork. It's not actually leftover pork. It's pork roast that I cooked with the intention of making these three Chinese dishes: the lo mein, fried rice, and egg rolls. This is about 1 pound of meat. Next we have some celery. Then we have some carrots. And of course, some wonton wrappers. We'll also be using some toasted sesame seed oil, as well as some soy sauce. And we'll also be using some fish sauce. Fish sauce is a new ingredient for me. I know it seems a bit intimidating. I'm not a big fan of the sound of it, but do me a favor, give it a try. I think you'll enjoy the flavor. All right, now let's start prepping. We're going to take this head of cabbage here. First thing we need to do is cut the heart out. You can see right here, the heart will release all the veins and let us get a good shred. To do that, let's start by cutting it in half. And then taking each half and just using the angle of knife to follow the heart. Just cut that heart out just like that. Flip it up on its side, and then we can start to julienne. Get rid of this ugly leaf here. And then just slice, slice, slice. And once we get to the end, we'll go ahead and flip it over, and maintaining these 1/4-inch slices or so, finish that off. Then we'll do the same thing to the other one. Cut the heart out and slice it up. Altogether, we're going to wind up with about 8 cups of cabbage, which should be just about perfect for the amount of pork that we have. Speaking of pork, we're going to take our pork and julienne it. We'll start by cutting it into strips, and then we'll take that and cut it into bite-sized pieces, small enough to where you can imagine eating them in an egg roll. And it looks like we'll wind up with about 1.5 cups. I was hoping for 2 cups, but it'll work. That's kind of why I call it leftover edition. I mean, with egg rolls, you can use whatever you have, almost as much as you have. Try and keep things proportionate, but use whatever you got, and you'll come up with a delicious egg roll, I'm sure of it. Next, we're going to need some celery. And don't laugh at the way I chop it. It's easiest for me. We'll start by cleaning off a few of the outside ribs. Of course, I've washed and rinsed this head before we started this, but leaving all the ribs attached to the head, I'll go ahead and slice about 1/4-inch slices. And what we'll wind up with is going to be more than what we need. We only need a cup. We got probably close to 2 cups. The next key piece of vegetable we're going to want to put in there is some carrots. We'll pick a nice large one out of the bag. We'll peel it. And then this is an interesting prep method. We're going to apply firm pressure with the peeler, and we're going to peel thick slices of carrots off. And we're going to stack them up Slice them thin into a julienne. And we're going to want about half a cup of these. I tell you, that peeling method of julienning these carrots gives you a nice fine chop, which is what you want for inside the egg rolls. Next, we're going to chop up some onion. Quick, cut this in half and cut the ends off. Peel that outside layer and chop her up. Now, the way I slice my onions is, or at least the way I was taught, is to put the knife at an angle and change the angle with each cut to ensure that you get the ribs, the natural ribs of the onion, to separate. And what we're going to wind up with is about 1.5 cups, which is perfect, of sliced onions. Now we're ready to start cooking. We're going to be using a combination of olive oil and toasted sesame seed oil. The reason we're using the combination is because sesame seed oil is pretty strong, so you want to use it kind of sparingly. So we'll start off by pouring about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in the pan. Then we'll follow that up with about 1 tablespoon of sesame seed oil. And we'll let this pan get hot. I tell you, as this pan's heating up, that sesame seed oil just smells so wonderful. And now that our pan's hot, we'll go ahead and cook our cabbage and celery first, give them a little head start. Then we're going to add in about 1 teaspoon of black pepper. And then it's time to stir fry. We're just going to let these cook for about 5 or 10 minutes, just until the cabbage starts to wilt a little bit. And then we'll add in some onions. And we'll give those a minute or so to cook down. Then we'll add in some garlic. And we'll add in a healthy tablespoon of garlic, probably about 1.5 tablespoons if we were measuring. And one of the final ingredients, one of the most traditional, I guess, would be ginger. We're going to go ahead and give this garlic just a few more seconds to start releasing the aroma of the garlic, I guess is one way to put it. Then we'll be using about 1 teaspoon of ginger. And just like the garlic, we're going to go ahead and let this sweat off a little bit. And once again, this is stir fry, so we'll just keep stirring this and wait about another minute, and then we'll add some carrots. This is about 1/2 cup of those nice julienne carrots. Go ahead and add those and let those cook down for a minute or so. And the last thing we'll add is our meat. This is 1.5 cups of that nicely seasoned pork. Pork was seasoned with soy sauce and garlic and red chili flakes and then roasted. And that just about finishes the filling. I'm going to go ahead and let this simmer or finish stir frying for a few seconds, and we're ready to start adding some seasoning. We'll start with some soy sauce. And we'll be using about 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce. And then we'll use some fish sauce. Fish sauce is new and kind of a strong flavor from my first experience with it. So we'll add in probably about 1 teaspoon of fish sauce. And that'll just about do it. Our filling's done. Of course, we'll give it a good final tasting to make sure all the flavors are where we want them. Other than that, we're ready to let this cool down, and then we can start rolling our egg rolls. Okay, now that that's cooled up a little bit, we're going to drain it. We've got to start getting this liquid out of here. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer it into a pan, and then we're going to paper towel it to help soak up the moisture. And it doesn't even soak that completely, so I think that moisture level is good. Okay, well, here we are. Scrambling up an egg. And we'll use a brush. to apply it. Here we got our wrappers. And we have a pan all ready. All right, let's roll. So we'll get a skin. We'll brush two sides. We'll put some filling in. And we'll get it into shape it into a egg roll shape. Grab our wrapper and pull it back nice and tight. And we'll gently start squishing it together and rolling it forward. Nice and easy. Okay? See? Just keep rolling until we get about halfway. See, halfway. Then we'll fold our sides in. Making sure that these angles on the side are going in, not out, in. So that this finishes inside. Okay? We'll keep rolling. We'll tuck these ends in a little bit. See? That's a pretty good one. So what I should have done is grabbed a scoop or a measuring cup or some way measure the amount of filling that goes in here. It's probably around half a cup or so, but had I done so, I would have wound up with a much more uniformed size. So we're gonna go ahead and finish rolling up one more of these and then we'll fry them. You got to get these ends in before you get to this point to get a perfectly sealed one. See how the end, see this part is sealed good. If you see on this first one we did, it's not. There's a little gap right here where air and oil might get in, okay? Anyway, here's what we wound up with. Put them on our floured tray so they don't stick. And how many did we get here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Looks like we got a baker's dozen. Let's get ready to fry them. All right, looks like our oil's ready. It's going to be what I call flash frying. We're just going to be frying these for just a couple minutes to get them sealed and to kind of protect them a little bit because these are going to wind up in the freezer. Now we can store these in the freezer for a couple months, but I'll make sure I save a few so we can see the finished product here. Okay, it's been a couple minutes. They got very light color. Gonna go ahead and set these on a sheet pan with a paper towel and get them to dry out. I tell you what, they're looking pretty good. Looks like we're ready for the freezer. As I said earlier, they can last in the freezer for several months. To finish them, all I do is take them out of the freezer, let them thaw, put them in the air fryer at 350 for about 15 minutes, and they're done. So, it's been a long journey. I tell you, I think the reason Chinese food is so expensive, it's not because the ingredients are expensive, it's because it's so much work. It's such a labor of love. From the washing, to the rinsing, the peeling, the chopping, cutting, stir frying, rolling, flash frying, freezing. But it was my way of showing you guys that I loved you. Thanks for joining me, and next time you're thinking about going up to the Chinese food place, remember you can make it yourself at home almost just as good, maybe better.